That's not what I want from Artificer Initiate.
Yeah, I agree.
It had a perfect opportunity to do something unique and squandered that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Do better. Be more like your brother. Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the feat Artificer Initiate.
Tinker. Do nerd
Tinker.
things.
Yeah.
This is a cute little feat from Tosh Cauldron of Everything. It's fairly long as far as feats go. So it says you've learned some of Artificer's inventiveness. You learn one cantrip of your choice from the Artificer spell list, and you learn a first level spell of your choice from that list. Intelligence, spellcasting modifier for these spells. You can cast the feat's first level spell without a spell slot. You must mention a long rest before you cast it again in this way. You can also cast the spell slot using any slot you have. You gain proficiency with one artisan's tools of your choice, and you can use that type of tool as spellcasting focus for any spell you cast that uses intelligence as a spellcasting ability modifier.
Hmm. All
For the
right.
longest time, I just assumed this gave you an infusion and was interesting, and instead it doesn't and isn't.
No, not super interesting. It doesn't make me feel like an Artificer Initiate, that's for sure.
Like,
But
let's
I
just pull.
mean, on its value level though, it's not too bad. You're getting a cantrip and a first level spell, and tools
Yeah.
for what that's worth.
So, like, Magic Initiates any class, two cantrips, one's first level spell, but you can't use your spell slots on it. So I think like what this has going for it is you can use your spell slots on the spell you get from it, right? Like that's the big
Yeah.
reason you take this over Magic Initiate. So if you're already a caster, you want this more. If you're a half caster or a non-caster, you probably want Magic Initiate. I don't know if there's enough extra here for me to get that excited about, especially if Strixhaven Initiate's on the table, because that gives you a first level spell out of two lists and two cantrips from a selection that are all, generally speaking, a lot better than this.
Yeah, unless there's something you really, really want specifically from the Artificer list.
Which is just a worse wizard list for the most part.
Yeah.
Like across the board, it's just a worse wizard list. Do they get
I
Mage Hand in
mean,
their cantrip slot? They do.
I
Okay, so you
think
can
so,
get Mage
yeah.
Hand.
And there's a Thorn Whip, which isn't available to uh wizards, right?
True.
So if you really want Thorn Whip.
Yeah, and again, like all of the competition could give you access to it, though, right? So it would be some combination of Thorn Whip plus a first level spell the druids don't get. Maybe that's the world we're looking at. I don't really see that being an option, especially given that I don't love the first level list for once per long rest spells that they get.
No, once
Like,
per long rest and spell slots.
sure, that's reasonable boon. I don't like. Do I want to actually use a catapult? I don't think so. I maybe absorb elements is what you just take here because it's the best option. But then you're not going to be able to use it every encounter, so I don't love that as something that I'm just dedicating a slot to. Absorb elements is so good because you stick it on your sheet alongside a million other first level slots. Whenever you need it, it's amazing. And whenever you don't, it doesn't cost you that much.
Mm.
Having my once per long rest being that doesn't seem great. And then the rest of this list is like expeditious retreat. I don't see it.
Um,
Do any of these first levels like jump out to you as awesome?
yeah, I'm pulling up the list. Let me see, take a look.
I like Tasha's Caustic Brew a lot. I don't. I think if I wanted to build a character that used Tasha's Caustic Brew as like their main method of damage, I could technically do it this way, but I would much, much, much rather do it with Strixhaven Initiate. I would much prefer doing it with like a different route. I would rather have a class that just gets it, and then a free use I can get elsewhere if I really care for that. But I don't. I don't
Yeah,
see me caring for that.
this isn't a list that's jumping out at me with anything super special. It's a lot of maybe a Featherfall.
Like that has again the problem of I'm not using this every adventure, so it having a dedicated slot to itself seems worse. Like
Yeah, but on the other hand, though, the being able to use your spell slots with it means like if you fall twice and don't have it prepared, I don't know. All right, that's not great. Try it here.
yeah, I respect the effort. and like it all kind of boiling back around to this being worse than its competition. And like we haven't discussed the artisans tools, and I think that's kind of because artisans tools aren't great. If you really lean into it heavily, you could go into like the Xanathar's expanded tools, which are like they're pretty neat, but they're still not particularly compelling. They have like little ways like, oh, you can neutralize acids if you take alchemist supplies, or if you're in the potter, you can find a weak point in a ceramic object. Like that's coming up regularly. So I don't see them being that valuable. And if they're not that
Maybe,
valuable, the competition's a lot better, right?
yeah. What about Long Strider for certain builds?
I don't. So, okay.
I mean, it's non-concentration. It lasts an hour. If you put a lot of value in an extra 10 feet of movement,
Let's envision a scenario. Strixhaven Initiate, we can say, is off the table. That's an expanded book, right?
okay.
No Strixhaven Initiate. Am I taking it over Magic Initiate, which means I want to cast it more than once?
Well, I mean, if that's crucial to your play pattern in a battle, and you know your battles aren't going to all be within an hour.
I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
That is almost something, maybe, but like maybe you're a paladin that wants Long Strider and wants it to be a part of their core gimmick, and they want to fly around at Mach 12 as a paladin. I don't see Long Strider builds coming together ever, so it makes me skeptical on that being a thing you do. But if that is a thing you're trying to do, maybe this is a route to explore.
What if you're a monk that takes mobile and this? Then you're really flying around.
Well, then you're just strictly worse than Magic Initiate because you only have one slot anyway, and you might as well pick up the extra cantrip. Like you have to really care about the artisans or the artisans tools. Then I don't think monks care about the artisans tools. I think they'd rather have the extra cantrip.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So like, and we haven't even brought up the ones that actually pants this, which are the ones that give you a second level slot and a first level slot. So Shadow Touch, Fey Touch, all that stuff. They make this look like a joke because those also give you mod bonuses and a first level once per long rest. So like, I don't. Is Longstrider an enchantment spell, Bob? Do you have it pulled up right now?
I've got it pulled up. Or I had it pulled up. Let me see that. Oh, come on, where did it go? All right, I'm gonna pull it up again.
Okay.
Long
if it
Strider.
is, oh, it's a transmutation spell. I got it.
Transmutation.
Yeah. So you can't take it with Fey Touch or Shadow Touch because those are divination enchantment for Fey and illusory necromancy.
There you go. Checkmate.
If you need a transmutation spell from the Artificer spell list once per long rest and with your spell slots, maybe this is something you can consider. I am having a really hard time giving this above a 1 because it doesn't do anything better than every other feat that is competing with those.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna give it a 2 for. All right, it does something that now I realize.
True.
With other things doing this and more, that effectively equates to nothing, probably. But I'm determined that there's something we didn't think of.
I think 2 seems more fair. You're right that we should give 1s to things that you actually shouldn't put on your character sheet ever. This won't be bad if you put it on your sheet. There's just way better options out there. I think if you're gonna take a background feat, this is a more fair version of Strixhaven Initiate, and I think they pushed Strixhaven Initiate a little bit too far. So maybe this is the nice middle ground between those two things. You get to have your background as a tinkerer or an alchemist or whatever you want it to be. You can take the artisan's tools with that, then you get a first level spell and a cantrip. That feels pretty reasonable to me. I like this on the non-casters a lot as a background option.
It is disappointing because it's called Artificer Initiate. All it's doing here is giving you a couple of spells. There's the only piece of flavor it's got is the tool thing. It could have given you an infusion. Like that would have made me feel like, all right, I'm dipping my toes into the Artificer waters without actually dipping into a level.
Getting a homunculus, making a bag of holding, getting this cool little magic item. Maybe you learn 2 infusions and can make 1. That would be really cute. I would be down for something to that effect. That's sure not what it says, though. And for that reason, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's another poor man's magic initiate. That's not what I want from Artificer Initiate.
Yeah, I agree.
It had a perfect opportunity to do something unique and squandered that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Do better. Be more like your brother.
At least Eldritch Initiate is really cool and has some possibilities that I like a lot. I can envision there being characters that have a lot of fun with that because it's a bunch of unique abilities. This is just boring, and that
Well,
shouldn't
Eldritch
be printed.
Initiate gives you
An invocation.
an invocation, something unique to the Warlock class.
This gives you Wizard's spell list, but worse,
Yes.
and Artisan's tools. Okay. I do think this is like also a statement of Artificer doesn't really get to feel interesting until 3rd level because most of the time it's just kind of doing what wizards do, but worse. Like they're like the wizard half-caster that make a single magic item. And I don't think that's particularly compelling. Now, their subclasses are sweet. Once you get one of the 3 that matter, or Alchemist if you're a sadist, you can like start, or Masochist, other way around. One of the 2. You can start like actually feeling like an awesome either gunner or, armored, build my own suit of armor kind of flying magic creator. You have a pet robot running around with you. That's all fulfills the fantasy. But I think the class's like core identity is a little bit loose and not particularly well defined. I think we see that here pretty clearly.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was Artificer Initiate. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Is there something we missed? Is there some little niche that you would choose this over anything else on any of the comparable feats? Let us know. Otherwise, like, subscribe. You know the drill. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.